Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 9, Episode 90. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for tuning in this Tuesday, Steelers Nation. Dave, have you gotten your personalized message from Antonio Brown for the low cost of $500?
No, not yet. But I'm sure I've been trying to rack my brain to come up with a few ideas of maybe how to do one of those. Someone immediately reached out to me on Twitter and said we should get to pull together some money and get one with AB congratulating Juju on the team MVP award, and there's been a couple other funny ones sent along to me as well. So now I don't know. Someone put up there that it's now listed as charity. I don't remember seeing that the first time I looked at his profile page on Cameo there, so I wonder if he got a little bit of pushback and his agent or somebody went in there and switched it to basically saying all funds go to charity there, which I would hope it would.
Yeah, I've heard of this service before. I think Brett Favre had started doing it a couple months ago, and that wasn't a charity thing. I guess you could option it, so maybe that is kind of them covering their own butt. But really, with the PR they've gotten, I don't know. You might as well keep digging at this point. But let's save AB for a second here, just because it's become such a just nonstop topic. So I just want to jump into the combine here to start because, we're coming off of the 4-day event. I thought a really good workout overall for all the position groups. I know I'm going to ask you a very big picture question here, Dave, but just off the top, what either group or maybe one player that really stuck out to you?
Oh, wow. One player, and really it's he sticks out to me because more of a negative aspect. I think it's my boy Ja'Kai Polite.
Yep.
And we'll get into a little bit of kind of what happened with him. And then Juan Thornhill is another one. Really, I didn't know too terribly much about before the combine took place. So those are the names that I think that immediately jump out at me, based on the way you kind of framed that question.
Yeah, and I thought the inside linebackers, Devin Bush, Devin White, have gotten a lot more press and really cemented themselves as first-round picks. But let's start with Ja'Kai Polite. And if you weren't familiar with the combine, didn't see really what happened, it really was just bad from the start. The interviews seemed to go maybe poorly. He seemed to take some issue with teams that were criticizing him and looking at his negative plays when he talked to the media. It's kind of what he focused on and said he didn't really like, hearing from teams that criticize him too much. Kind of said he didn't look at his own tape that often. Then he runs a 4.84. Then he, magically after running a terrible 4.84, he says his hamstrings pull and he can't finish out the day. So, apparently there were concerns about maturity and those kind of things coming into the combine, and he didn't answer those questions. So now, this is a guy we've talked about, maybe pick 20, and you could see this guy fall out of the first round.
Yeah, and character and combine performance aside, he's been one. If you remember back a couple of shows ago that I said, I kind of wonder where is this guy? Is he indeed a slam dunk first round guy? I agree, he's top 40. I just don't know where to put him, and because of the history of the tweeners types. The non-elite tweener types, which he obviously is in that group. And then when you throw in now, did you watch his combine press conference?
I just saw the most notable clips. I didn't listen to the whole thing.
But I mean, did you watch the exchange between him saying bashing and all?
Yeah.
I mean, the written reports make it sound worse than the way he responded to the question.
Yeah, but I still don't think it sounded good.
No, it didn't. No, it absolutely did not sound good. He said they were bashing me, and they don't want to, He did not. He was not prepared well enough, and yes, right. his youthfulness and inexperience, I think, of dealing with that type scenario really did come through in that area. However, I do think he's getting a little bit more criticism for that than he should right now. But and look, I mean, the narrative is to say he pulled out after that slow run and didn't even reach for his hamstring first. I mean, are we doctors here?
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's a good point.
You know, I mean, I understand wanting to pile on here with him, and you know, it wasn't. You know, I just feel that most of this is stemming from not being great with the media at his combine interview.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, it's easy to pile on when you come off of that, and that's how you start. But still, I mean, he's got to have a great pro day. He's got some questions to answer. Do you think, and I guess it's probably too early to tell, but do you think he's still in play for 20? Do you still consider that, or do you consider him now more of a second round, maybe he falls to 52 kind of guy?
I have other toys I'm playing with now.
Well, before we get to that, tell me about Juan Thornhill, because this is a guy that I mentioned before the Combine podcast and said, you know, him and Monty Hooker were two guys I was really interested in because of their ball skills, because of their production, and then this guy just goes out and kills the Combine workout.
Boy, what a player, right? I mean, it's too bad that he didn't do. I wonder why he didn't do the shuttles and the 3-cone. Because it would not be nice to have a complete profile on him right now, just from the metric standpoint. I didn't know much about him heading into the combine, and last night I not only put together an interception, his contextualization of his interceptions throughout his career, which by the way he had 13 of those over 4 years, 26 pass breakups, and because of the limitations on the amount of full Virginia games on the YouTube machine, it's going to be impossible to find most of those. I might be able to find most of them, so I might put those in there. I think people might like to see those. He played both cornerback and safety at Virginia. One of those kind of reminds you of what Sean Davis had to go through, you know, because of injuries. Who was the one that got injured there? Was it Will Harris? Is that right?
Injured at the Combine?
At Virginia. The corner.
I don't.
Anyway, you know, they had some injuries there in the secondary, and I think he showed up originally as a safety, and then they wanted to get him on the field early, and then they moved him to. They put him on the field some at corner, and then injuries happened. He had to go to safety and then back to corner, and then I think last year spent predominant amount of time at safety. So you'll see him in his full collection of tape going all the way back to, what year were we? 2000. When was his freshman year?
15, 16.
Yeah, 15 or 16. You'll see him all over the field. Well, his stats go back to really 2016, so I don't guess he played too terribly much as a freshman there. But yeah, I mean he played all over the place. He obviously, now here's the thing, and it's kind of tough sometimes when it comes to defensive backs, and I think you'll agree on this. And I have not looked at any all 22. I don't know how much all 22 we have on Virginia. Do you know how many games we have on them?
I can pull it up and see, but I don't know off the top of my head.
But sometimes it's hard to see that speed translate, you know, on the TV tape when it comes to the defensive backs. I'll tell you, the first tape that I clicked on him with the TV tape was the game, I think, against Indiana last year, and then there was a run. I think it was a run that he didn't feel very well, and it looked like he gave up a little quick on it. He could have hawked that defender down from behind before he had scored. So the first kind of view or viewpoint that I had on him was a bad play. So I had to try to erase that bias, you know, out of my head there. But the further I got into his film, man, he's really an instinctive player. And like I said, he lined up all over the place there at Virginia. Outside, inside in the slot, down in the box safety. I think a little bit of free as well, too. I watched him answer a few questions in some video floating around from the Combine. Seems to be like a good kid. Obviously knocked it out of the park athletically. Tackling, once again, I think my initial impression on him didn't seem too interested, but as I dug further into the tape, he's not afraid to come up and play the run or tackle at all. He does. He is one of those kind of. I think he leans toward being more of a shoulder tackler. Throwing his shoulder at the knees. But I mean, he seems to be fairly effective at it. And overall, you get a good feeling about him. And I don't know where he came into perception about him. I think maybe you said day three guy possibly or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's day two for sure. I don't know. Is there gonna be talk about him in the first round now?
Yeah, maybe first round's a little too strong, but when you combine everything you talked about and the versatility that he has, which is so critical to the NFL, you need guys that can be flexible and versatile and match up against any personnel and formation grouping. He can do that, and then you throw in, a 4.43, 44-inch vert, and 11.9 in the broad, just ridiculous stuff. And he's pretty big, dude. He's not some 5'10", $180 guy that's just, athletic because he's so tiny. He's over 6 foot. So, just a really strong day for him. A strong day overall for the safeties, man, Dave. Those safeties were flying. I think they averaged a 4.54, which is just insane and speaks to the athleticism of the college game now translating to the NFL.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a nice pro day. His official 40 time, I think it was 4.48. Yep. 17 reps on the bench, had a nice, a fairly decent vertical at 36. Not probably the broad jump he wanted to post, although not awful. 9'9", 20-yard shuttle, nothing wrong with that. 4.2, and then the 3-cone was a very respectable 7.03. So I think, when you say, these guys should test kind of the way you view them on tape, I think he's probably a perfect example of doing exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the whole safety group was excellent, and I can definitely see Gardner-Johnson being a fit. Darnell Savage ran really well. Kid from Mississippi plays the 4.29, which I think really surprised most people. So, yeah, it was a really good group overall, and the whole defense flew. I mean, the inside linebackers, we can go to them. The top two guys that Wade circled and looked at, Devin White and Devin Bush, they did not disappoint, running in the low 4.4s with some excellent other times. White jumped 39.5 inches. Devin Bush jumped 40.5 inches. So, I mean, those are two top athletes and have really kind of put themselves in their own category. And I think it's a question of not, will the Steelers take them, but will they even get to 20 in the first place?
I was worried about Devin Bush from a size aspect coming into the combine, because man, he looks tiny. He looks smaller on tape to me than what he was listed at, and I was worried he might come in more towards the 5'10" side of things than he would the 5'11". People say, what are you dickering over 3/4 of an inch about? Well, I mean, you've posted in the past that the things the Steelers like, when measurements and measurables when it comes to all the positions and all over the years and all. So I was kind of worried about that, but 5'11", that's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. 234, weighed a little bit more than I think people thought he would, and 32-inch arms, right? I mean, that's a little bit longer than what it looks like he has on film, and that's not bad when you stack him up against some of these other inside linebackers there. And then, look, we knew the straight line speed was going to be there, right?
Yeah, I figured he was going to test very well, but it just is nice to see that confirmed.
Right, and I mean, he probably tested when you talk about things other than the 40, 21 on the bench. He jumped out of the Lucas Oil Stadium with 40.5-inch vertical and a 10-foot 4-inch broad jump. That shuttle time of 4.2 is great. And anytime you see a 3-cone under 7, it raises your eyebrows as well too. So he absolutely did nothing to hurt himself. This is a kid now that there's absolutely no reason for him to do anything at his pro day. So now we'll just see where he falls. And my biggest thing on him that I want to go back and watch with him. And this is what would you agree? Mack Wilson's probably found himself out of the first round now.
Yeah, or at best, he's just a number 3 guy behind Bush and White.
But it's clear number 3, right?
Yes. It's like I said, Bush and White are in their own tier 1. Everyone else is tier 2 or below.
Right. And how many times do we kind of see that tier 2 linebacker go in the first round?
Yeah, probably not. I agree with you. He's probably second.
Right. And some of the things, like I said, with him are finally, where's the playmaking on tape? And then obviously he didn't do much of anything at the combine, and that didn't. What is it about these Alabama linebackers sometimes about not wanting to do some of these drills?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see what happens at his pro day. But I wonder if this kid had to do it all over again if he would have stayed in school and taken Nick Saban's advice there. But back to Bush here and White. Yeah, I know people have said all along, there's no way Devin White's going to make it to 20. Okay, yeah, there's probably a good chance that people are right with that assessment, especially if they're looking for a top inside linebacker in this draft. If he's not taken in the first 19 picks, that's hard to bypass, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Assuming his character and all checks out and all, which, I said, coming into, I think dating back to high school, I read where there's a couple run-ins with the law that have to be checked into with him. Bush, the biggest thing on his tape still is where are the plays?
You mean in just terms of the actual production?
Yeah.
Well, I think you see the athleticism. So there was so much talent in that Michigan defense that it probably was tough for just one guy in that spot to make plays. That defensive line was so strong. So that doesn't worry me too much. I think the skills are able to translate to make big plays.
I can't wait to see what his stop numbers are. What they register as stops, basically run or pass failures total.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I do these contextualizations, when I dig initially to these guys, I go kind of the splash plays, right? Interceptions,
yep.
Forced fumbles, tackles for loss, sacks, passes defense. Those kind of main things, the things that show up instantly in a stat sheet. Those are the things I go hunting for.
Sure.
I want to go kind of look and see, what about the run fail tackles?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that gain maybe 0 yards instead of lost yards. What about the ones that only gain 2 or 3 yards? Try to go sift through some of those because you just don't see when you go back. Do you remember going back through Ryan Shazier's college tape and all? How it seemed like he was constantly in the backfield and all at Ohio State. At least not yet with me. I haven't kind of seen that stuff with him, and really to some degree, while I have seen it with Devin White, probably not enough in that area. So that's a phase when it comes to Devin Bush that I want to go back and examine.
That's totally fair, and that's a really good point because we've harped on the need for playmakers and splash plays, and Shazier did make more splash plays. He had a boatload of tackles for a loss, but I'm just looking at his college numbers now, at least if this site's to be trusted Sports Reference, only 4 career pass deflections, only 1 interception in college, and you saw once he got to the NFL, the interception numbers really spiked. So I think that is an example of, while Shazier was more splashy than Devin Bush, some of the numbers that didn't exist in college, like the interceptions and pass breakups, existed in the NFL.
Right. Make no mistake though. If they draft a linebacker in the first round, he has got to be a player that does not come off the field.
Yeah, and I believe that White and Bush are the 2 guys in the class that fit that bill, that you can take with confidence fit that bill.
All right, so we expect Tomlin and Colbert at LSU and Michigan Pro Days, right?
Wouldn't surprise me in the least. And I think they talked to Devin White, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but it is a first step. To go with the corners real quick, because I skipped over them, kind of a weird group. There's a lot of speed, a lot of intrigue. Some of the drills were tough for most of these guys. Greedy Williams was my top corner, still is my top corner at the moment. Ran a 4.37, but looked really clunky in drills, while guys like Byron Murphy didn't run the best time. I still think a 4.55 is good enough, but really looks smooth in drills. And so I'm kind of having an internal debate. Who am I going to have as my ultimate number 1 corner? Greedy, Byron Murphy, but I still think a lot of talent here.
All right, I've talked enough now. You like to watch those. Well, I do too, but sometimes having to update these numbers, I don't get. It takes me a week or two to go back through the combine tape to concentrate on some of this, and I think you paid a little bit more attention to it this year than I did when it came to the on the field drills. What did you like and not like about some of those combine cornerback drills, and who did you think looked better than most?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Greedy Williams, you just saw some tightness, challenging him vertically and, with speed. He's going to win. That's where he works best. But you saw him coming out of his pedal, didn't look super fluid, didn't look comfortable. The arms kind of flail, and then he bowed out because of cramping. So he only went through a couple of drills. So that's not the best way to end his day, at least. But like I said, Byron Murphy just looked smooth. He looked coordinated. He looked quick out of his transition. Just a powerful lower body. And again, I know that 4.55 isn't an impressive number, but this is a guy that added about 15 pounds from Washington, came in at 190, which is a really strong weight for him. So maybe he's going to run a little bit slower because he's not used to just playing at that kind of weight. But I thought he had a nice day overall. I was pretty happy with DeAndre Baker from Georgia, running low 4.5s. I think is good enough. Then you have the big corners, Isaiah Johnson, Justin Lane, Lonnie Johnson. I thought Justin Lane had a really nice day, and I thought showed more fluidity than I expected. I saw a little bit of tightness on tape, being like a 6'1" guy, but this is a former receiver at Michigan State who actually played a little receiver in 2018 when a lot of injuries happened, played some snaps there, and I think caught a pass. So that's a guy that, like Brian Allen, could be on that conversion list, though Lane's going to cost more than the 5th-round pick that Brian Allen did. Some other names, David Long from Michigan looked explosive. Rocky Sin, thought had a pretty good day. Still kind of question some things. I don't really see a first rounder.
And I've said that right from the go, right, with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it with him in his one year of tape, but I mean, is it that great that it's going to propel him into the first or second round? I personally, I haven't seen it. Now, obviously, I haven't. There's not any of that Presbyterian. But a game or two, I don't think, on the YouTube machine. And yes, Temple stuff was good. But I mean, if you're going to be all that in a bag of chips and expect to be talked about in the first round, you better come out and really kill the combine. And I think people are looking at are trying to look at his combine and wedge it into the narrative that it was good enough that we should be talking about him. Mm-hmm. Is that the feel? In other words, are there apologists out there right now? Are there Rock Yasin apologists after the combine now? I'm sure there is, but what's your take on what you're seeing with the bias or with the pre-combine narrative now that we've seen him run?
Well, I don't really get into the combine narratives and the bias. I mean, maybe a little bit of confirmation bias there. They're just a corner needy league, and you're trying to find guys that can have good ball skills and that can run. And he ran a 4.51, and I think he does have pretty good ball skills, and that's going to be attractive. I think there's probably an intangible factor with Rocky Sin. It's hard for us to look at. I think people like his wrestling background. They like his toughness. Put up 18 reps on the bar. He wore number 8, I think, at Temple, and Temple only hands out single-digit numbers to the toughest players on the team. So he's a tough dude. I think there's a projection with him saying, okay, only 1 year at Temple from Presbyterian. He will get better in time with better coaching and just more time kind of at that level. So, like I said, I think he's a day 2 guy for me, but I think that's the justification for why people see him as a first-round type of corner.
20-yard shuttle 4.31 isn't right your mother,
Mm-hmm.
Dear Mom, I ran a 4.31 20-yard shuttle in the cornerback group where most everybody ran better than I did, 3-cone. Dear Mom, 7.31 in the 3-cone. I'm very proud of myself, although several ran faster than me. Sign, Rock. You get what I'm saying here?
No, like I said, I didn't see a great athlete. Now, the time did surprise me. He ran the first 40 he ran was a 4.59, and that's kind of what I felt like I saw on tape. The second one was better. Came in as a 4.52, official 4.51. He jumped 39.5 on the vert, 10 in the broad. I just, I think the straight line speed's okay. I think the change of direction, as the numbers kind of show, isn't great, and the size isn't particularly special, and the tackling's poor, and the run defense needs work, and the ball skills are okay, but they're not the best I've seen. So add all that up, I feel like I just don't see with him as a first-round guy. I like him. I don't like him enough for a first round.
I obviously have to go through his Temple tape a little bit more in depth and all, but my feel on him kind of right out of the chute has been a round 3 or round 4 guy.
Yeah, I might come in a little bit higher than that, but we agree he's not day one. With the safeties, just to kind of round that out, I thought Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Darnell Savage, had some good numbers. Mike Bell was his disappointment from Fresno State. I thought he had a really testable. The athleticism was a concern for me on tape, and he ran a 4.84, the worst of any safety. So that's really poor for him. He's an atrocious tackler that has to work on his technique. The ball skills are there, but not much else. And then, like I said, the other guy I mentioned with Juan Thornhill, on the previous podcast was Amani Hooker from Iowa. I could really see Amani Hooker being a Steeler. I did some research into him last night. Kind of played more safety early in his career, became kind of a hybrid star, dime-ish kind of guy. This past year for the Hawkeyes, really ran well. The agility drills were impressive with me. So I think a guy that can play in space and play near the line of scrimmage and kind of play in that slot nickel role. I really think Amani Hooker's a guy that could be on this team's radar day too.
Let me ask you. Could we be looking at how do you like a short list of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Amani Hooker, or Juan Thornhill as one of potentially three players to be that new kind of dime player?
Yeah, I can get on board with it. I think you're looking for big safeties that can run and cover. That's where the league's going. This is what the team did last game of the regular season. Playing that 3-3-5, have Morgan Burnett really being the every down kind of guy in that package. So, I think they're looking for someone with some size that can cover tight ends, cover these big new age slot receivers. You got Paris Campbell, who's a slot guy running 4.31 at 212 pounds. Like, you have to have somebody that can match up. And the Mike Hiltons of the world might not be the best equipped for that. So, yeah, I'm all on board for that.
Tell me a little bit more about Hooker.
I think it was Daniel did the report on him. He was a little iffy on some of the change of direction stuff, but I thought the 3-cone and the short shuttle really kind of, prove that he can change direction. He's a guy that, can make plays on the football. Had 6 career interceptions, 4 last year. I think he's an underclassman, a junior, so that's why he doesn't have more interceptions, but the ball skills are there. Just a versatile guy that started his career on special teams like most guys do, and then slowly got integrated in nickel and dime packages and became a full-time safety, then moved down into that hybrid kind of role. So a guy that's wore a lot of hats, ran well. I think he ran well, 4.48. I just think a guy that fits what the Steelers are looking for.
I think my homework at this point, and it's too bad Nasir didn't run. How deep have you gotten into Nasir Adderley?
Nothing outside the Senior Bowl, but I just get that feeling. As a Delaware guy that didn't test, not going to be on the Steelers' radar that early.
Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you about Thornhill. What do you remember about, and this is good where it's good where I have the Senior Bowl stuff on DVR now. What do you remember about Thornhill at the Combine? I mean, at the Senior Bowl.
Really not much,
do you?
to be honest. I really don't, to be honest with you. I wish, I didn't go this year, but he certainly popped at the Combine.
I just don't remember hearing his name a lot at the Senior Bowl. Do you?
No, like I said, I don't really remember anything from that. So
yeah, I want to go back and search that out. I'd like to see maybe some of those one-on-one drills that he was involved in. Yeah. He does look a little bit. Looks like he could get kind of pushed off against by physical wide receivers. When playing more press man stuff. So that's one thing that I want to look into. But Taylor Rapp is another one that I don't think we talked a lot about. He unfortunately didn't run at the Combine. I think he may have met with his Steelers. I think all these top guys that we just talked about, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Nasir Adderley, Hooker, and Juan Thornhill, probably met with the Steelers in some capacity, be it formal or informal. Now, the good thing is I'm sure the Steelers had a pretty good sit-down with Thornhill at the Senior Bowl, so probably, do you really need to spend one of your formal interviews on him? But, yeah, I think those are the 4, and I think my homework is to dig a little bit more into Thornhill's tape, and learn a little bit more about Amani Hooker as this offseason progresses when we're talking about the safety class.
I want to flip to the offense.
What do you got to feel on Thornhill? I think one of the questions on Thornhill is he a corner or is he a safety right now?
Probably, but I think in this age of the scheme's been blurred and the positions are blurred and you're just looking for talent and guys that can be versatile, I think it's almost not almost a negative, but it's almost a positive in the sense of you can play multiple positions and you are versatile and you can line up all over the field. I think that's almost a positive for him more than a negative. So I look at it.
Right. I just wonder. Yeah, I mean, you find a place to put good players, right?
Yeah, I was asked about that yesterday. Like, where are you going to play this guy? Like, this guy's got 13 interceptions. He's got talent. He can be a playmaker. You will find a home for him. You don't have to look hard if a guy has the talent to get on the field. I want to switch to the offense real quick because I know we spent a lot of time on the defense. The tight ends were phenomenal. You know, T.J. Hawkinson.
But I hate to interrupt you here, but one quick thing that I posted on the Twitter machine while the cornerbacks were running. What do you think about the form? You know, I have the list of cornerbacks taken in the first round dating back to 2013, along with their 40 times. And obviously, most of these, there's very few. Mike Hughes last year out of Central Florida. Vernon Hargraves out of Florida in 2016. Kevin Johnson out of Wake Forest in 2015. Marcus Peters out of Washington in 2015. And Darquez Dennard out of Michigan State in 2014. Of all this list of cornerbacks taken in the first round dating back to 2013, they are the only ones with 40 times in the 4.50 range. Now, I know the answer to this, but I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, we can read a lot into 40 times when it comes to probably two positions, when it comes to the NFL draft. That's probably wide receiver and cornerback here. So when you look at, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you look at the times that DeAndre Baker and Byron Murphy run, does it give you pause at all with either of those kids, just from a history aspect?
Well, you did include their pro days too, right? There was one or two pro days.
I only included the pro day time if they did not have a combine time.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good point. And yeah, speed is such a big priority, and it does matter a lot more for, you're right, the receivers and the corners than it does basically any other position. But like I said, with Baker, I see a guy that really moves well on tape, that moves fast, and with Murphy, that's a guy that added a ton of weight and still ran 4.55 and still tested, I thought, positively overall. So that's a good point, but I'm not as concerned about it. I think you just need guys that can play and play fast on tape. I think both those guys do.
You know, the Steelers like them sparky guys up top.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And have you seen any spark scores floating around? You know what? Oh, no. By the way, what did you think about the NFL's network's coverage this year? I mean, I thought Daniel Jeremiah did a great job, but did it seem like we had a little lacking there, especially when it came? Look, I mean, we were as disappointed as most. What's the deal? Why can't you put the 10-yard split up on the damn screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, DJ did an awesome job, and I'm the biggest Mike Mayock fan in the world, but I thought Jeremiah did well. But yeah, just the coverage. No alternate stream during commercial breaks. That was the killer for me. I couldn't watch it during commercial breaks.
Right, and I mean, look, I think you can put the ads in the corner. You know, you see ways to work around getting the ads in on stuff that you need to keep cameras on and stuff like that. Mm. And I really think and look, what's the percentage? I guess that's maybe it too. They just probably don't have a high percentage that tune in via the web, or maybe they do. I mean, Joe Blow's sitting in his office on a Friday. I bet he had that phone burning up on the combine, right? But anyway, here's the other thing I kind of wanted to go with that 40 time is you had guys like Mark Fields, 4.37, obviously greedy, fast, speedy greedy. That's what I'm going to call him now. 4.37. Trayvon Mullen, 4.46. And Amani, I kind of thought Amani surprised me with a 4.47.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a 4.5 guy, so I thought he had a really nice workout.
I guess my question is there any chance whatsoever that guys like Baker or I think there's a good chance one, or if not both those guys will be on the board when the Steelers pick at 20. The question is, will either one of them fall out of the first round?
I guess I can't rule anything out. You know, if teams like this one corner over, Murphy because they prioritize that speed, sure. I mean, I don't think both will, and I think Murphy's going to go in the first round. I think you could convince me better that Baker is not going to be a first round pick, but I still like both guys.
And then from the segment of the listenership that goes, he will not be there. Probably Greedy Williams in that, right?
Yeah, like I said, the drills were kind of funky, but 4.37 with his tape, he's going to be a first-round guy and a top 15 guy.
All right, I apologize for interrupting you so many times.
It's all right. I'm just going to have another 90-minute podcast, but hey, it's a good one to do it. For the receivers, actually, I'll start with the tight ends because I mentioned them before. Yeah, the tight ends were awesome. Fant and Hawkinson and Foster Moreau, I thought could be a kind of a sleeper. Nope, not anymore. Running 4.66 at 253 with 36.5-inch vert. Yeah, just a really good tight end group overall. So, that's just the way the position's going. And then the receivers they were big, they were fast. We know about DK Metcalf turning in a fantastic workout. Are you concerned about the agility drills? That was kind of the last thing that came in and, didn't test well with the agility. I'm sure it didn't surprise you with how rocked up the dude is, but does that worry you at all?
A little bit. Those extremely rocked up guys do kind of bother me.
Yeah, he probably needs to. I think Jeremiah said it well. He needs to replace the bench press with a yoga mat. That's a good line from him.
Boy, what a nice class though, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's fantastic. And the Steelers, I know they meet with everybody, but they met with a ton of the top receivers, which isn't a big surprise, but it is. It is out there.
I posted the complete combine press conference of Terry McLaurin out of Ohio State, but just not a lot not to like about that kid. They're kind of he did what he was supposed to do. He went out there and ran 4.35 and 37.5-inch vertical, 10'5" inch broad jump, 4.15 20 shuttle. He definitely has himself poised in that probably third or fourth round area now, right?
Yeah, I think he's firmly in there, and like you said, for the special teams value he brings, the vertical threat that he brings, I think teams will be able to balance that with a lack of production at Ohio State. For me, the two guys I was really honing in on this weekend were Riley Ridley and Deebo Samuel. I thought Samuel had the better day of the two, and that's kind of the number one guy I'm looking at to be that X receiver to try to replace Antonio Brown.
A.J. Brown, thoughts on him? I haven't studied him hardly much of anything.
Yeah, I haven't either. I know Metcalf got all the publicity for his workout, but Brown had a really nice day too. 6 foot, 226 to run sub 4.5 and 36.5 in the vert, 10 in the broad. Those are some good numbers. So that's a guy that's another vertical type of guy. But Metcalf's going to get the big publicity.
And Hakeem Butler.
Yeah, to run 4.48 at 6'5", 227 with some of the longest arms I've ever seen from a receiver. Just an absurd athlete. And you look at that athletic profile, it's kind of hard to think he's going to fall out of the first round just because those guys, you don't see too many of those guys. They're that big and that strong and that fast. And that's a weapon. So I think he's going to be a first-round pick.
Who was the Georgia kid that you've been kind of high on?
Well, there was Ridley and Godwin. I don't know which one you're referring to.
Ridley.
I thought Ridley looked clean in drills. Catching the football, I think, is a natural hands catcher, but, the workout is poor. And you combine that with a lack of production, the analytic crowd's going to hate Riley Ridley. To run 4.58, 30.5-inch vert is terrible for him. He's not a huge guy. 4.28, I think, at the short shuttle. Not a good day for him. So, like I said, it was Ridley and Samuel had the better combine of the two.
Going to have to see some separation on that tape.
Well, I think he can separate, and so the agility numbers kind of surprised me because he is a really quick guy that I think is fairly advanced route runner that has the ability to break down the top of his route really well. But the question is vertical and just overall athleticism, and yeah, the dude hasn't caught 100 balls even if you include like his high school year, his senior year at high school. So when you have lack of production, lack of athleticism, it's some red flags.
Ohio State University wide receiver U, right?
Yeah, them in Kentucky had everybody there, it felt like, in terms of overall talent.
Boy, Ohio State got some wide receivers in this class. Yikes. Running back.
Yeah, not the most impressive group. Didn't run super fast. The times weren't eye-popping. Some guys kind of disappointing, like Elijah Holyfield from Georgia ran a 4.78, which was really poor. But there were some guys certainly to like. Myles Gaskin, Darrell Henderson are two guys that I've looked at. Miles Sanders from Penn State had a really quality workout, probably one of the better workouts of anybody. A local guy, I think, from Woody Hills. So that's a guy I'm sure Steeler fans will at least hear about. Will he be a Steeler? We'll see. But Quadri Allison, I thought, had a nice day. Steelers like their backs big. He's 6 foot, 228, and ran, sub 4.6, which is a good time for his size. That's the one that I think the Steelers could try to look at potentially on day 3.
Justice Hill, boy, that
I knew you were going with Justice Hill.
I just wish some of these guys. I just wish they would have done some of these other things so we could have some better triangle numbers on 20-yard shuttle and stuff like that. Now we have to wait for Justice Hill to run the 20 and the 3-cone, at his pro day. But 4.40, 1.48 10-yard split. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And,
when you run that well, you don't have to do no shuttle drills when you're running 4.4 flat.
Yeah, when you jump 40 inches with his vertical as well too, and for a guy kind of deemed kind of smallish, and of course I'm sure the shorter arms help with this. Not that I could do 21 reps with my short arms, but 21 on the bench too. I mean, this is now. I mean, a guy. He is what we probably thought he was ahead of the combine. That's probably a 3rd or 4th round running back.
A lot of stuff similar to Dree Archer. I'm not saying that he is Dree Archer. Hopefully he's a lot better. But Dree did 20 reps at the combine, so that's kind of the muscly, speedy kind of guy.
I think Justice is just put together better.
Yeah. He's like 20 pounds heavier, so
right,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, you can bounce him around a little bit more,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But wow, boy, those tight ends those 2 Iowa tight ends, wow. Trying to think who else in the tight end. I already knew a lot about Foster Monroe. Josh Oliver is a guy I want to dig a little bit more into, and Dax Raymond as well too. What position group have we not really covered here? Offensive line, I haven't really paid a lot of attention to.
Yeah, I mean, because we know this team's not going to target someone high. I thought Bradbury had a really strong day. I think he's going to be a first-rounder. Andre Dillard had a good workout. So you're going to see those guys as first-round types. And I would like Chris Lindstrom from Boston College, just smooth and a strong base and a really good anchor. And then Dalton Reisner is just that little Energizer bunny that's a competitive dude that I think is going to start for a long time in the NFL.
Eric McCoy out of Texas A&M.
Yeah, athletic center, ran 4.89. He's working with Duke Manyweather. I'm sure you've seen him on Twitter. One of the O-line kind of gurus and top trainers, and so he's getting good coaching and could potentially sneak his way into late first round, early day 2.
All right, coming out of the combine, going into the combine, we have those late guys that show up getting the buzz. Somebody comes across them real quick, and then all of a sudden everybody's talking about it. But then after the combine, we have kind of the Thornhills. Have you ever bought into this guy's flying up the board just because of the combine, or do you view it as more as more people are on the outside are getting they're getting further down their list and into the tape of these guys?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. I don't think there's not as dramatic of a shift in real NFL scouting circles and in war rooms as there is in the outside world because, these scouts have studied these guys all year long. They've seen junior pro day numbers for the seniors. They know generally what a lot of these guys are going to test, so I don't think it shocks them. Obviously, as you've heard people say, the biggest thing is just whenever fast guys on tape don't run fast at the combine, or when slow guys on tape run fast at the combine. Whenever something's different, the opposite of what you expect, that's when you start trying to go back and look. But I feel like most of the people that say, I got to go back and look at this guy again, don't actually go back and look at him. It's just one of those phrases. But yeah, the shifts aren't as dramatic as they're perceived to be.
Well, I know there's some, look, I have a good feeling who, guys like, most of the top guys that I've talked about, but about Bush. Bush is a perfect example of I want to go back and watch more, but it's more. I don't think it's not more from what his combine performance is. It's
just you were going to watch more regardless of the combine,
right? Because I want to find more production outside of the statistical production.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's totally fair. Yeah, just the people that are like, oh, I like this guy, but he didn't run that well. I guess I gotta go back and watch a tape. Like I know half those people aren't watching the tape again.
I think a lot of this too, and I think it's like that meme that we see with the guy walking down the street with the girl, and then the other girl walks by and he turns around and he's caught looking at him. That's kind of the effect I think a lot of us YouTube scouters and all get pre and post combine, So I'm walking down the street with Chauncey Gardner Johnson and Juan Thornhill walks by.
Yeah. Dave explaining memes. That's 2019 for you.
Hey, I'm 52. I'm over 50. All right. What else do we have? You feel you feel that you learn a little bit more?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys I didn't know. The edge class, we didn't talk about the edge class too much, but Brian Burns had a great day. And Jamal Davis-Macrin is a guy I wanted to look at some more. A guy I don't know much about that I thought he had a really good day.
You still feel Burns more of a 4-3? Or do you feel he can be
Well, I think he can be an edge. I think he's got the skill set. He's the most fluid and natural guy going backwards that I saw there. It's just a question of getting run up the arc a little bit too much. He did come in heavier, but, he played pretty light at Florida State. So, I mean, there's things to like. I think he can be an impactful player. I just think he's a little ways away from getting there, maybe 2 years away, and that has me a little worried from Pittsburgh's standpoint, at least.
Chase Winovich, good combine?
Yeah, great combine for him. Tested really well. Montez Sweat, I mean, that's just one of the most absurd numbers I've ever seen. 260 pounds, 6'5", to run 4.41. Like I said, I don't think he's a scheme fit for Pittsburgh, and I've been a little mixed on him, but this dude's a first-rounder.
Who was the other in that group there that caught my eye? Too bad Jalen Ferguson got disinvited. Didn't learn anything about him. Burns is a guy I want to go. I already know a little bit about Jordan Brailford out of Oklahoma State, kind of more of a later round tweener. In regard to him, another one that I don't think ran the 20, the 60, or the 3-cone. Ben Banagoo, if anybody helped themselves, quote unquote, at the combine with measurables, that you maybe want to go back and say, wow, I'm not sure I saw a lot. I mean, the straight line speed obviously wasn't there at 4.62, but it's not like you're going to ask him to run 40 yards after the quarterback, right?
4.62 is still a really strong time with a 1.56 split. That's rock solid.
Right, but boy, you look at his other stuff. The vertical, 40-inch vertical, 11-foot 2-inch broad jump, 4.27. When you look at they say when you look at the Pat Kerwin always put a lot of stock in taking the 40 time and subtracting the shuttle time for it, and the bigger the number, the more kind of, athletic, he put a lot of stock in, obviously now you don't want the guy, a guy at this position running 5.2 40 and then putting up 4.7, but if the number is respectable in both category, the bigger the separation between the 20 and the 40, a lot of stock gets put into that by certain organizations there. And Ben Banagoo, a little bit older, but his tape is impressive.
Yeah, we saw him at the Senior Bowl and played well. So, late day 2, early day 3 kind of guy potentially.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Dave. That's a pretty good wrap on the combine. We can go into some more maybe next time here. All right, I know I kind of put this off because honestly, I think maybe you feel the same. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and readers feel the same. But the AB situation is just tiring at this point. Now, it does seem, at least from the reports from Peter King, that there is enough interest in Antonio Brown league-wide that he will be dealt before the March 17th roster bonus is due. He went in and had his real long sit-down with ESPN's Jeff Darlington. You covered it really well, so I'll kind of let you kick it off with your thoughts on the interview. But, talked about just all his frustrations with this team.
I'm mad because it chewed up a lot of my damn Saturday. I mean, we expected this interview to come out on Saturday from ESPN, but in no way, shape, or form did I think it was going to be a 45-minute interview. It's a lot of nonsense. There's a lot to chew on, in there. I don't think he helped his or the Steelers' cause in trying to get him traded. And I think your initial reaction was, man, how much did he hurt You know, with this thing going on at the combine, all these general managers sitting back in their hotel rooms and being bombarded with this stuff on ESPN or on their computers and all. I mean, it did, to me, it didn't help. You know, talking about now they got to play by my rules. Talk about I don't have to play. What else? What else was there? Just, I mean, a lot of needlessness in there.
Yeah, I mean, here's the big thing that would concern me if I'm an NFL team. You know, AB wants a new contract. He wants guaranteed money. And you know, he said you got to play by my rules. So if you trade for this guy, you're going to trade for him, and then you're going to validate his desire to put himself first and to play by his rules by giving him a new contract and a bunch of guaranteed money that might upset your locker room. So now you've already told him, yes, we're going to play by your rules because A, we're going to trade for you, and B, we're going to give you the money that you want. And that could be a tough sell and a tough way to navigate if you're an NFL team. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know why he's saying what he's saying. I think he just is trying to burn every bridge and just trying to I don't know.
He's trying to get himself released.
Yeah, and it's not going to work though. They're not going to release him.
They
will trade him for a third before they release him.
People got mad at me early on in the process, in this, but I said he's trying to get that way. Now, obviously, when Art Rooney the second comes out immediately and says we're not releasing him, you can take that to the bank. It would take a lot more than even what's out there now for them to release him. That's just not going to happen. They'd rather take a 7th round whatever for him instead of release him right now. So because
they can control where he goes. That's the biggest point. Not about the draft compensation, but you get to dictate where he ends up.
Right, but this guy has been full blown butthole. I mean, and I think a lot of it is calculated.
Yeah, but I think
because he's not the smartest. He's not the sharpest candle in the cake.
But if the ploy was to
did you miss my mixed metaphor there?
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll on past it. If the ploy is to get released, and he has no chance of getting released, then who's giving him that advice? And why do they think that's a goal?
Why not? Why not right out and shoot? Just go. Look, I cannot stand Ben. I don't like how the way Tomlin handled me. Just saying, go home during that final week. Why not behind closed doors? Go to Colbert, go to Art Rooney and say, look, I can't do this anymore. Trade me, or else I'm going to, you're not going to like what you see. Would that have worked any better?
Well, here's what I'm a little conflicted on. I wanted AB, and I'm okay with AB talking publicly with everything that's been talked about, from Tomlin explaining what happened and Colbert talking about AB, and which is fine. AB does have the right to share his side of the story, and I'm interested in his side of the story. I think he's able to tell it his own version of events, which is fine, which is great. But just some of the things he says, it's just tough to wrap my mind around. Like, he's mad about Ben not throwing him the football in the first quarter, which is just objectively not true. I looked that up and just seemed overall mad that he wasn't getting the football when he was the most targeted receiver on the team and 10th in targets this year, and has always been the focal point of this offense. Like, it's just weird frustrations that just are just false.
And Ben won't come to my house. Ben's been to my house one time. I've been to his house one time. People in the organization don't know my girlfriend's name, my children's name.
Those could be, maybe not to you or I, but I could understand maybe frustration there. I mean, that's a feeling, and I'm not going to say he's wrong for feeling the way that he does.
Look, I've been in certain situations in management and all before where I don't want to get too close to employees.
Well, I think it's a little different situation with the football team.
It's one thing to go to a Christmas party or whatnot, but to go over and have a few drinks and sit around for 2 hours, what are you going to do? Some people, believe it or not, some people don't have a lot in common off the football field.
Right. Now, I mean, I will say, is Ben not coming to your house really going to make you hate the guy or want to be traded? Is it that big of an issue? I mean, that seems a little awkward and a little weird. But again, if that's how he feels, I mean, I can agree with that more than I can agree with the idea of Ben doesn't throw me the football enough.
And the whole Ben doesn't off-season workouts or whatnot,
Which, to be fair, I think is true. I know everyone's talking about that one 2015 post, but generally speaking, Ben doesn't work out with AB in the offseason.
All right, but
I mean that is true. I mean, there's that one photo from 2015, but we know that Ben doesn't work out with a lot of these guys in the offseason. At least we don't see it. And AB works out with a bunch of other quarterbacks.
That's the thing that we have to preface, that we don't see it, because a lot of times Ben will go out to California with those guys that are represented by his group and go out there. Now, maybe not. Now, will he sometimes invite teammates out there? We don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they have at some point, but we don't see it a lot. I'm sure those receivers will be posting it, or those teammates will be posting it.
I think it's important to preface it that we don't see it.
But when AB says that Ben doesn't work out with me, I take him at his word for there. Because if they were working out, I think AB would be posting a lot more photos. Because he always posts photos of working out with Teddy and Cam Newton and Odell and everybody.
How much stock do you put into the Peter King stuff?
In regards to what, the first-round pick, or the being traded soon, or which Peter King thing?
Yes.
I don't know. Peter King, I just know that it's just agents and teams trying to dictate the narrative that talk to Peter King. Because King was talking about, a month ago, they can't get anything for AB, teams aren't offering anything. Now he's saying, I think they'll get a first-round pick. So I think before that was other teams talking to Peter King, trying to get the Steelers to trade him, and now it's the Steelers talking to Peter King, trying to hype up his trade market. So it's tough to get a read on Peter King. I mean, I believe him when he says he's going to get dealt before the 17th. The value, I'm still sketchy on.
What do you think about the Mike Florio? Poor Mike. Sometimes Mike Florio just look. I think Mike does good work in certain instances and all, but I think he missed the boat on the whole. Supposedly, for those curious, the Steelers supposedly asked Antonio to delay the date that his roster bonus is due, and he non-shockingly said no, and then the whole thing about, because the Steelers technically probably don't have to pay that until 17-week payments dating, starting come start of 2019 season, that might help them get another anyway. It was just kind of outlandish and really, I think, unfounded, and really I'm shocked Mike Florio went that way, because everything that I know about signing bonuses and roster bonuses, it's not uncommon for signing bonuses and roster bonuses to be paid to the player. It's not like they say, here's your check. Mm-hmm. Here's your $19 million signing bonus check.
It's in installments usually.
Right. It goes in escrow, and they get paid out that money 17 weeks over the season with their normal paycheck. That's not unusual at all here, especially when it comes to meaning kind of what would many would say, it's only $2.5 million. It's not like they're sitting there. Omar Khan sitting there, AB, come pick up your check, kind of thing there. So I think
there's a cash flow problem. You just don't have $2.5 million always on hand to hand out.
Right.
March.
So I think that's something that Mike Florio talked about that doesn't weigh into any of this. Sure, can the Steelers keep Antonio Brown after paying him his roster bonus and then trade him afterward if they think they can somehow get a better deal? Sure. I just think you try to get that out the door as quick as possible. I don't see where there's any advantage to keep him, because look, I mean, the guy's going to be going through his own off-season workouts as well too. Man, you're running into that time where maybe he tears a knee up.
Mm-hmm. He's working out right now, so
right. I'm just saying, but every day you add on to that, it's another chance.
Right.
Of that happening there. So I guess the question becomes, and I've said this all along, if they get a first-round pick right now, I think it's only the Raiders.
Yeah, and King's report, was it King or Schefter? I don't know, that said Oakland, Washington, Tennessee are the top three teams, whatever that's worth.
And we talked about how the two Grudens, I believe that more so than I believe Tennessee, but I also think Mike Vrabel did a good job of kind of dancing slightly around all that, the AB type questions during the combine there. So I don't think he can rule Tennessee out completely. I would be a little bit surprised there. And then a couple other teams we've seen Ian Rappaport throw in there. Denver's just outlandish. There's no, you'll have to pick me up off the floor if he's traded to Denver or the Colts or a few other these teams, kind of floating around there. So really, I've said this all along. I don't think the list is as long as people think think it is. Sure, teams are probably saying, hey, would you take a fifth for Antonio? Or, hey, would you take a fourth or a third? But, I mean, serious teams were looking to maybe part with a first or second round pick. I don't think the list is very long, Alex. And if Kevin Colbert gets a first-round pick for Antonio Brown, we need to commemorate that day as Kevin Colbert Day in Pittsburgh.
I will get the banners ready. No, I think you're spot on when you say if it is going to be a first-round pick, it is going to be from Oakland because they got 3 of them. They're 24 and 27 or the 2 later ones. They're not super high first-round picks. If it's a first-rounder, it's going to be Oakland. I can't see another team do first round.
And I'm not claiming to be a rocket surgeon to be able to figure that out.
Yep, that's what your plaque on the wall says. Dave Bryan, rocket surgeon.
Oh, good. I'm ready for it to be over is what I'm ready for.
No, I know.
I'm ready. I want it to be done by the time the new league year or shortly after the new league year starts.
Do you think it gets dealt before the 17th? I do.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the best time to get it done.
Yeah, but do you think it will happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, I do too. Anything else on AB, or do you want to move on from this very tired subject?
I'm done with AB.
All right, Dave. I had my free agent wish list that went up the last 2 days, and it's a really exciting thing. I'm always appreciative of the support and the feedback from everybody. And so we'll kind of run through it pretty quickly here. We'll start with the offense because it's a shorter list and a less interesting list, to be honest, than the defense. But just some of the receivers, trying to replace AB. John Brown it was the first name I came up with. Might be a little too expensive, so I kind of really would prefer maybe more Chris Conley from Kansas City, who ran really well coming out of Georgia.
I was big on him coming out of combine. I think the Steelers probably were as well too. So that one, he's had some knee or elbow or both. Something's got his stock down now, obviously, and that would not be, I don't think, a big surprise. I like that name.
Yeah, I mean, it should be relatively cheap. This wide receiver market might be a little higher than it should be, but $3.5-4 million, I think you can do. Play the X receiver spot in Kansas City, so he's got experience at the position. They just use that position differently as more of a possession guy. Some other receivers, Brashad Perriman, I thought, had a rebound year for Cleveland. Then some special teamers like Jeremy Davis and Russell Shepard just to replace the DHB kind of track. And then tight ends, the 2 guys we mentioned on the show, Uzomah from Cincinnati, which was I'm stealing that one from you, Dave, and then Jeff Harriman, I thought it's kind of a Jesse James 2.0.
Yeah, no. I think those are well thought out. Any running backs on that list or no?
Yeah, I try to find some running backs. I really think I'd just rather go through the draft. I mean, I looked at like Brandon Bolden and Amir Abdullah, but I couldn't find a guy that fit what the Steelers were looking for too well.
They'd be minimum salary guys anyway.
Yeah, it's like a Nile Davis if they're going to bring anybody in. Defensively, which went up this morning, I had a lot more names. I think 17 in total, which was pretty high for me, but just a lot of names that I thought made sense. Defensive line, looking at guys like, Rodney Gunner from Arizona, Kyle Love from Carolina, Corey Lugitt. Could we see Corey Lugitt become a Steeler? High pedigree guy. He's coming off a torn quad. Chargers declined his 5th-year option, but I think he's got some really good tape. So I like those guys. Zach Moore from Arizona too, so I was an interesting guy that kind of popped off at me. But the big hitters and the big names to talk about, the inside linebacker, C.J. Mosley. How surprised were you? You have to be pretty surprised that C.J. Mosley's going to hit, if he's expected to hit, unrestricted free agency.
I was surprised they didn't tag him.
Yeah. Now they could bring him back. It sounds like they will still try to work with him, but they just couldn't justify tagging him. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, and that gives you. I mean, look, they're out there. They I think they got some cap issues, and they got some young linebackers as well too. But it does give you a little bit pause as to maybe why they're not. The Steelers always say we keep good players. And,
well, if you're gonna sign a free agent, the other team let him go. So there's always that concern. Now, let me ask you, because one of my favorite free agents, and had Mosley not come up yesterday, this would have been the number one guy I'd be talking about, and really still is almost the number one guy for me, Jordan Hicks from Philadelphia. I think this is the playmaker the Steelers need. I think it's as close to Shazier as you're going to get. Yes, the injury concerns are there. I don't deny that at all. But if you get this guy on a kind of a prove-it type deal, which might be what he's angling for, I think this guy could really make some splash plays for this defense.
Well, Steelers always in those kind of areas, they like those 2 to 3 year deals.
Yep.
is that something Hicks is gonna? I guess I see him more as maybe trying to sign a 1-year deal with the team, and the Steelers don't normally. Once the Steelers commit to you like that, they and spend some money on you, they want you for more than one year. So I think the want versus Hicks probably wanting more of a 1-year deal so he can get a bigger payday might be a little bit too rich for the Steelers there.
Maybe, but maybe you could do 2. And even if you do 1, just knowing this window's closing, like, you got to make some sacrifices here with how you do things. Not, entirely, but 2 versus 1 year deal, I'm willing to take that chance. Because at least in free agency, you're not going to find an inside linebacker who produces as much splash as Jordan Hicks. Now, if you try to go through the draft and get Devin Bush or Devin White, great, but no guarantee you're going to get those guys either.
And your corners?
The corners I had, Bradley Roby, number 1 for me. I think he is kind of a feast-famine corner, but just great athleticism, great ball skills, versatile, can play inside, play outside. I think plays the run well. Pierre Desir from Indy had a real, kind of breakout season finally for him. A little bit stiffer than a Roby, which is to be expected. There's a size difference there, but a guy with length and ball skills, which is always important. And then Bashad Breeland from Green Bay, not a guy I love. I put him below in a different tier than Roby and Desir, but slot capable, can play outside, and has good length as well. So a guy that is going to be cheaper, I would expect. They could come in and play that right corner spot potentially.
What about Zadarius Smith?
Yeah, what do you have, 8.5 sacks last year? Like, he's going to get paid, right? I looked at a ton of these outside linebackers, but they're all going to get big money, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and that kind of gives you pause a little bit.
And he's not going to be the number 3. He's not going to come in to play behind Dupree.
Right. I mean, you would have to cut Dupree, which I know wouldn't hurt a lot of people's feelings. There, take the checker flag, snatch victory out of the jaws, snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory from Dave there. If you do that there. Boy, I take my hat off and hand it to you. This really is an impressive list that you came up, and a lot of it's believable as well too. And I think we see around the internet at this time, sign this guy. Should the Steelers sign Justin Houston? I think you always pride yourself, and the site always prides itself on being realistic here. And I really do like that list that you have there. Well done.
Thank you. Real quick, 2 names at the dime backer position. Adrian Phillips. I love Adrian Phillips. I mean, I don't know if he'd come here to play just that dime role again, but, man, he's got some really impressive tape. And then Andrew Adams from Tampa Bay. He was an RFA. The Bucs aren't tendering him for some reason, new regime coming in. But 4 interceptions last year and 300 snaps. I mean, if you want a guy with a little bit of resume in that aspect, Andrew Adams is a backup safety, kind of fits that bill.
And then, of course, Tyrann Mathieu. But as much as we could see those two kind of marrying together, man, the Texans seem pretty hot and trying to make sure he doesn't get away, and that usually produces a pretty good market. I mean, he's deserving of 6 or 7, maybe even more than that a season on a pretty big contract right now. So, as much as I think a lot of us might like to see a Tyrann Mathieu Honey Badger in the black and gold, yeah, it might be a little bit strong wishful thinking, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to go back to Houston. I think they got a good thing going there, and that's just my guess. So yeah, that was the free agent wish list. You can check it out on Steelers Depot. The defense is up today. Dave, you posted your to-do list, kind of the housekeeping side of things. What you expect this team to do before the start of the new league year? What do you got for us?
Yeah, I think the first thing when you get home is, and it could happen but any day now, normally when this team gets home from the combine, whatever, I don't know if you want to call them salary cap casualties or if you just want to call them contract deletions sometimes, or what is Kevin Colbert, does he call them deletion or whatever? You see players cut. And I think leading that list of potential guys could be Morgan Burnett. So the only thing is there? Do you think there's any trade market with Morgan Burnett? Is a team going to want to take on that $5 million base salary with him as part of the trade? I kind of find it hard to believe. I think if Kevin Colbert was indeed trying to shop Morgan Burnett in his contract at the combine, he probably got some of those faces like somebody bit into a lemon there, because because the guy can't stay on the field, and you want us to pay him $5 million, and he's trying to dictate to you where he wants to play in the defense. So it would not be surprising, I guess, is what I'm saying, to see a guy like Morgan Burnett cut within the coming days, and that's probably not a surprise to anybody listening to this podcast right now. The other kind of fringe name, and feel free to throw any more out there, the only names I could come up with, and I don't think it happens, is Marcus Gilbert. You've gone this long with Marcus Gilbert. He's not killing you. And when he is healthy, he's a pretty damn good right tackle there. Unless you can trade Marcus Gilbert, I think you hold on to him, and then there's the whole Bud Dupree argument there, and you think I know. I think you know how I feel, how I think the Steelers are going to go in that aspect. So if there are contract deletions, it would be probably Morgan Burnett, and if any of those were to happen, it would probably be any day now on into early next week there. After that, Ben Roethlisberger obviously going to be on the front burner right now. You want to get his contract extension done before you have to pay him the $5 million roster bonus here a few days after the start of the new league year. So we expect that. Thursday or Friday, Alex, I think that's the day. Thursday or Friday this week is the day with where I think we'll see that announced with Ben Roethlisberger. Any contract restructures of guys that are due roster bonuses, if you feel that you need the cap money, that's the perfect time to do that. I really think the only candidate for that is Stephon Tuitt. I'm not 100% convinced that they are going to do it. We have to do contract restructures, but if they do, Stephon Tuitt would be the prime candidate for that. Finish out the rest of your tenders. They probably have them out there already, but if they don't, we've already seen a few of those guys who were scheduled to become exclusive rights free agents, guys like Dangerfield and who was the Zach Banner. I think there was one other, Canada. A few of those guys have already re-signed. Really, the only restricted free agent I think you need to worry about tendering is B.J. Finney, and the question comes, is it a second rounder or is it a right of first refusal? Knowing the Steelers' history in the past, it will be a right of first refusal when it comes to Finney, and you let him run around out there, shop and see what he can get out there on the open market, and see if he signs an offer sheet, whether or not you want to match. When it comes to exclusive rights, I think Matt Filer and Mike Keltner, two guys. But look, all you have to do is issue with them those exclusive rights tenders, and they have to accept them there. And then kind of on coming out of the back end on this, you try to obviously re-sign any of the guys that you potentially unrestricted guys you want to keep, guys like Jesse James, Ramon Foster, Cody Sensabaugh, lead that list of guys. Last minute kind of deals. Can you get a deal done with any of those guys? And last but not least, or you finish up your free agent shopping list, which I'm sure before they went to the combine, they had a pretty good plan in place where it comes to their free agency plans. Although maybe they were a little bit surprised by a guy like Mosley not getting tagged, so you pay attention to that list. These late cuts, guys like Justin Houston and such, you pay attention to that. And last but not least, get Antonio Brown trade worked out as soon as possible. I think when you package all that together as far as to-do list, from returning to home from the combine to the start of the new league year, which is now less than 2 weeks away, I think that's the work you got to get done.
Yeah, no, good stuff there. It's kind of a good layout and a good calendar. When's Burnett going to get cut? He's got no trade market. There's no trade value at all for Morgan Burnett. It's got to be next couple of days, right? So don't you said the post combine?
I would think any day now. Maybe Thursday.
And they have to cut him, right? There's no way they can just keep him.
I don't. If that report out there's true about him not being happy and him asking the team to either release him or trade him, I mean. And with him set to earn $5 million, and knowing that his playing time's probably not going to be more than 300-400 snaps, I don't see how you can keep him now. I think you say that was a bad decision, like quite a few of them have been during free agency lately, and cut bait and move on. So, yeah, I'm expecting it this week. I mean, if you keep him past a new league year, what does it say, if anything?
Yeah, I don't know what the point would be. And at best, he's the dime guy, and it's a role he doesn't fit and a role he doesn't want to be in for too much money. So I think it's an easy answer there.
The only thing that I can see is you just wait until the draft to make sure that you get something there before moving on for him, and then cutting the day after the draft. The whole who was the safety cut after the draft that
J.J. Wilcox.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
That guy, he started in March, putting his house up for him. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know when.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of deal with him there. So, if you don't cut him now, you don't cut. Talk about Burnett. If you don't cut him now, you don't cut him by the start of the new league year. You have to think it's just a matter of when that happens.
Yep. Agreed. All right, Dave, let's close out the show here with some reader emails. See what the people are saying, maybe some combine-related questions.
Boy, we've managed to run long, but that's to be expected here. From Jonathan Mason, to me, it's Byron Murphy, Devin Bush, or bust. With the 20th pick, since Greedy and Devin White will be gone before 20 for sure. Which position out of cornerback and inside linebacker makes sense for free agency? It makes it easier to get the guy, or does it not matter and you draft whichever is there at 20? Thanks, Jonathan. You're going to see the Steelers fill in some of these holes, perceived holes, during free agency, and I don't, even though I understand why, I don't think you just circle inside linebacker and cornerback and say, all right, it's Devin Bush or Murphy, and that's it, end of story there. Because I think some of these safeties, I think there's going to be, and a wide receiver or two might have played themselves into this as well too. I agree with you that makes the most sense, yes, but I don't think you can just go ahead and let's forget about the other positions here when it comes to first-round possibilities.
Agreed. You don't want to look at just door A or door B. Maybe there's a door C, or maybe both guys are gone. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. So I don't want to get hyper-focused on just one or two names right now. But ideally, in free agency, you sign either an inside linebacker or a corner, and then you can address the other in the draft. I mean, that's the ideal scenario.
I think from the reality standpoint, though, look, don't stop studying Devin White and Greedy just because. Study them, because they're going to go somewhere. And if not Pittsburgh, you want to know a lot about them. But yes, from a realistic standpoint, you would think both those LSU kids will be off the board. But it doesn't mean don't learn about them and have conversations about them. Yes, I agree that more likelihood that a guy like Murphy or Devin Bush are still on the board when the Steelers pick. You agree at this point, Alex?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Devin Bush and Murphy, good chances one or both still on the board.
Yes, I agree, but it's possible that neither are. So you got to have that. You got to have all those contingency plans.
Justin Babcock, and the phonetic spelling of Justin is Justin.
Thanks, Justin.
He does that for me, not you. I'm special.
Oh, I know.
Blake Cashman. That's one guy I don't think we talked any about during our combine rundown. Blake Cashman from Minnesota caught my eye with his numbers at the combine. Have you guys seen him? Is he a 3-down guy? I have yet to crack open the tape on that. I got to be honest, Justin. He is one guy. What do you know about Blake Cashman out of Minnesota, Alex?
Just he had that great workout. Ran like 4.51, jumped 37 inches. One of the draft guys I follow did a deep dive tape study into him and really liked him and thought, he can be that 3-down guy. But I haven't touched his tape yet. So yeah, you're looking for athleticism. That's why I thought the 40 times were so fast for the linebackers, and that's why I'm disappointed. A guy like Terrell Hanks, we didn't talk about him. Pulled a hammy and then couldn't really start the day. So you want to see his pro day. But yeah, you got to have speed. You got to have athleticism. If you don't have that, you don't have a huge role in the NFL.
All right, from Daniel Kruder. See, you should put phonetic spelling in there, Daniel. Hey, guys, just wondering if you like Nelson Aguilar as a potential replacement for AB. Saw last week that the Eagles are looking to trade him. Love his potential, but at what price? A 4th round? I haven't looked at his salary. I've never been a big Nelson Aguilar fan from the drop and the contested catch standpoint. aspect of his game, and if he's making any money whatsoever, it just not a big fan. I'd be surprised, Daniel.
Yeah, I think he's more slot guy, and he's got a 5th-year option coming up, which is going to cost $9.3 million. I'm going to pass on Aguilar with trading a pick as well for him.
From William Kahi, Bill. Phonetic spelling is Bill. Do you think this mess with AB would be going on if the Steelers would have gone into the playoffs? That's a great question. If they would have went into the playoffs and went one and done, I don't know. This guy just looked like he'd like me. Sometimes he'd looking for something to be mad about.
I think about this a lot, that like had Cleveland beat Baltimore, maybe this whole situation would have been avoided and AB would still be a Steeler and everything would have been copacetic. So, but then I think about all the stuff AB says, and I just think that it still wouldn't have worked. That AB was still going to be upset, that he still would have handled it in these poor ways overall, and nothing would have changed how AB's felt and how he's expressed it.
All right, no name here, but Blitz43P writes in, hello, gentlemen, keep up the good work, long time listener, finally decided to chime in with a question. Glad you did, Blitz. What do you guys think about Troy's chances of getting in the Hall of Fame next year, and when he does, do you think he will show up for the ceremony? I would hope he would show up for the Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm not so sure what his activity in Pittsburgh will be. I would like to think that any beef he may have or may not have still the Pittsburgh Steelers would get put aside to attend the ceremony, but he has been off the grid since retirement, and I don't know what to think about. Do you guys think there is even a small chance that he doesn't show? I will continue listening to you guys as long as you're doing your thing. Great content. I love the passion. I became a Steelers fan in '95 when I was 10. Family moved to Hernando, Mississippi. I know where Hernando, Mississippi is, and we drove 787 miles to our first Steelers game, November 16, 2017. Good for you. When the Steelers beat the Titans 40-17. At least you had a good experience there. I think that was also wasn't that the
Thursday night game?
Wasn't that Color Rush?
Yeah, I think it was the Thursday night one.
So good for you, Blitz. It was awesome listening to you guys talk about the game on my way to Pittsburgh and listening to you talk about it when I got back. Love the show. Hands down the best content, best host with the best personalities. Hey, how much do we owe you, Blitz? Thanks for those kind words. Troy, look, Ed Reed was first ballot, and I think the closer we're going to get into it, I think people are going to start trying to compare Troy's numbers to Ed Reed's numbers, and I don't think you can do that because of the positions that they played. I don't see how Troy is not a first ballot guy as I sit here right now. As far as him showing for the induction and all like that, I can't see him turning that down. Now, as far as him doing something in Pittsburgh, related to all that before and after, man, he is not happy with the Steelers, and I know for a fact that it's due to how they treated him during his final days and wouldn't cut him. He still wanted to play. He wanted to, I think, go to Tennessee and play for Dick LeBeau. He of course signed that extension to kind of help him out. Really, it was a fake extension. It was kind of like the one Heath Miller really signed, whatnot. That year, he's not upset with he's not happy with the way the Steelers treated him during the final years, and I think he's kind of a guy that, man, once you get on his bad side, it takes a long time to recover from that. So I don't know how to answer that after the fact. I think he would show up for the Hall of Fame and all like that. But as far as closely assembling himself or associating himself with the Steelers during that process, yeah, I don't know, Blitz.
Yeah, I mean, Troy's 100% going to get in. He's 100% going to show. The better question is just how does the team handle it? Does the team go? How do they cover it? That'll be very interesting to see. But Blitz, go to more Steelers games because Sean Davis had a pick against Tennessee, and I need Sean Davis to get some interceptions. So your mandate is to make that 700-mile drive to more Steelers games.
All right, let's see here.
Let's do one or two more.
All right. Quick, from Ted Webb. For you and Alex, what is your favorite non-postseason Steelers game you guys have ever watched. Assuming these will be drastically different answers since Dave seen more games than Alex, but still be interested to see how they compare to each other. Thanks, Ted. Best non-postseason game. Golly, so many good ones. I think as far as the Christmas one, the most recent one, the Christmas one where AB had that late touchdown. Wow. You kind of got me on the spot, Ted. I mean, favorite non-postseason Steelers game. Take a crack at it, Alex.
Favorite non. I feel like I'm going to spelling bee. Keep repeating the question to make sure I'm hearing it right. Favorite non.
Can you use that? Can you use that in the sentence?
Yeah, right.
Can you get Dave to spell it?
No, I know I can't get Dave to spell it. How about Ben to Mike Wallace against Green Bay? It was at 2009, the game winner in the left corner of the end zone. That's a play I'll never forget.
That's an excellent choice there. I'll default to that one. You put me on the spot. I can't rack my brain.
I think the AB Immaculate Extension is a really good one.
Yeah, as far as recent ones go, absolutely. Thanks, Ted. Darren Crown. Darren from California. The Steelers underperformed this year by not making the playoffs. Does Art Rooney decide it's time to part ways with Tomlin and the coaching staff, or does he give them the benefit of the doubt with losing Brown and Bell during this offseason? Look, excuses, those are just excuses. I don't think just because you lose those guys, it should play a lot into it here. They got a perfect opportunity to make that defense even better. They have a franchise quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. I expect them to make the playoffs. I think most people listening to this show expect them to make the playoffs there. As far as Tomlin being on the hot seat, to me, it would take a huge train wreck for him to lose. I know it's not going to make people happy, but I think it's going to take a huge train wreck for him to get run out of town, even if they don't make the playoffs in 2019.
I know we disagree a little bit on that. I think a non-playoff season, I really equate that to 5-11. I mean, non-playoff is non-playoff, so that's how I look at it, and that'll really heat up Tomlin's seat. No Brown, no Bell. That's not an excuse. That's not going to be an excuse that Rooney's going to use, that the team should or could use. So yeah, I don't use that as it'll be tougher, but that's not, like you said, Dave. Excuses aren't going to fly. I have a better answer for the previous question. Probably literally my favorite game. Non-postseason game of all time, 2007, the Monday night, the 75th anniversary against Baltimore, 38-7 beatdown, where James Harrison just dominated that entire game with all the throwback Steelers, in attendance. That was a Monday night game. That was a lot of fun.
That was the one. There was a long touchdown in that game down the middle, wasn't there?
Oh, that sounds like some cold reading, but let's look it up.
Let's see how good Dave is. There was a huge 80 or 90-something yard touchdown from.
No.
I'm thinking about a Cordell Stewart to some.
This is 2007, so this is
okay.
This is
I'm thinking before that. Then what was the longest play in that game? Do you have it? 2007.
There was a 35-yard touchdown to Santonio, a 30-yard touchdown to Nate Washington. Heath Miller caught a touchdown. But yeah, that was the one where James Harrison just picked up Ed Reed on that punt return and just flattened him and forced that fumble. And I think the decleater Hines Ward on Ed Reed, I think, happened the same game too.
All right, I'm thinking 2000 or 2001 Ravens game then. From Frank Radis. Phonetic spelling, Radis. God bless you, people. Hey, guys, do you think a good fantasy loser punishment should be to grow a mustache and dye it blonde? Hell yeah, I do. And in fact, I put on Twitter last night, I think it'd be funny if Ben Roethlisberger and the rest of several other offensive linemen showed up for OTAs with grown out mustaches bleached blonde. I think that would be something funny there. From Richard Hudspeth, if AB decides to retire, what happens to his cap hit? I think you can go after some of that signing bonus, Richard. There, I'll read it. I'll read it verbatim to you. What the CBA says. If I think about it on the next show, there, I don't think you have to worry about that because he's not going to retire. Now, as far as that signing bonus though, with the that was part of the restructure, I don't know if you can go after that part of it there with the restructure. I'll have to look into that and get you a more concrete answer on that. Let's see. Jim Lacey, another one. Jim Lacey with phonetic spelling. If the Steelers didn't get what they want, first round pick, and don't trade him, then what? Talking about AB. you show and play nice, and we suspend you, or we suspend you without play. You sit, and we get $21 million in cap space, and we rinse and repeat for 2 more years, or he retires and we go after the signing bonus. Yeah, I think you're more likely to see you show up and play nice, or we suspend you without pay scenario.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna trade him, but if they couldn't, I mean, he's not gonna retire. You're not gonna try to suspend him unless something else happens, which is certainly possible, but that's not gonna be your first approach. You try to make it work, and you put AB's locker far away from Ben. That's all I got.
Golly, Alex, please let all this happen before March 17th, please.
Fingers crossed.
I'm tired. I'm over it. I'm well over it now.
Yeah, I bet. After going through that 45-minute interview, God bless you.
Oh man, I know, and you're trying to watch the combine, and it's Saturday, and one of us has to watch the combine, one of us has to write it up, and I drew the short straw on it. So, enough already. All right, good show, Alex. We ran a little bit long today. I hope people don't mind. I'm sure they don't. We will get back after it again on Friday. Again, in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex Kozora on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and you want to donate to the cause, please go to SteelersDepot.com, hit that donate button upper right navigational bar. And until Friday, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.